expecting from him as a minister the issue of the emphasis on infrastructure, both new infrastructure and also the maintenance. The social grant has been extended, is something that we welcome. The ability to actually reduce the deficit without increasing taxes, something that we welcome very much. But we also feel that at some point he actually was very short in terms of the issue of Eskom, but we understand that that may be addressed by the new minister to be appointed. And we thought that the issue where he proposed that communities put some, that the rooftop solar system is not something they thought properly, because if a person is living in an RDP house earning 350 per month from the government, where is he going to get that money and claim it back, 25% of it? We felt that more emphasis and more effort should be put in that to assist those communities to get free solar panels on top of their roof without actually paying anything. But overall, we thought that the minister did very well under circumstances.
As we introduce a rules-based fiscal regime when it comes to public debt, we are going to continue to have a government that treats public debt like it's yo-yo. Today it's up, tomorrow it's down, because it uses a discretionary regime. And the problem with that is that we continue to steal from our children's futures in order to finance current expenses. We have doled out more than 400 billion rands to Eskom. I know they've borrowed that money, but we have guaranteed it as a state, and they have not been able to address those issues. We think that by not addressing the underlying problems and by not making sure that we get money that was wasted through state capture back into the system, we think that by doing this we are going to resolve the energy issue. We are not going to resolve it, because the people who've run the entity to the ground are still occupying strategic positions. The second issue is, while the solar panel renewable energy solutions, they are talking about them, all good and well, but they are not for the poor. The grandmother, the people who run spaza shops in villages, in Naba, in Piri, in Ganduli and other areas, firstly, they will not have the money to be able to buy the solar panels. Secondly, they have load shedding in the majority of instances for 2 weeks. Imagine a situation where you encourage people to buy inverters, and inverters have to depend on electricity in order to charge. If you have no electricity for 2 weeks, that thing is going to become a white elephant. So we need to have solutions that are responsive to the challenges that are faced by our people.
Well, firstly, if we look at the overall speech, I want to say that people must not be misled. South Africa is in deep trouble. If, for instance, we look at the government debt, it is increasing over the period to 5.8 billion rand, a trillion rand, 5.84 trillion rand. And the service debt alone over the period, at average, is 366 billion annually. So it's not affordable.
I think the budget speech will certainly please the ratings agencies and possibly international investors, but it's going to leave the majority of South Africans who are living in poverty and destitution and hunger where they are. So the increased economic growth that was unexpected for last year, the increased tax collection revenue doesn't accrue to the people who need it most in this budget. The failure to increase the social relief of distress grant, as the President hinted would happen, is a massive failure of poor people in South Africa. The continued belief that this COVID relief grant of 350 rand per month is a temporary measure and will expire in 2024 is wrong. There's no way once you give unemployed people with no other income a small amount of money per month can you ever withdraw it. And the failure to transition this relief grant into a basic income grant, which the President also hinted at, is also a failure of poor people. So it's really a budget for the rich, because even if you look at the energy crisis and the solutions proposed to introduce a mass-scale renewable energy through tax incentives, the cap of 15,000 rand per year for 1 year only to households and small businesses to introduce solar systems on their rooftops is not going to make any difference.
I must indicate that in our own understanding, our own opinion, this was extremely useless. Why? Because there are many problems in the country. We had thought that he would address those. I mean, if we, for example, spoke about the problems of electricity, where we indicated that about 1.4 trillion rand had been lost because of theft, because of all the problems which are known, and the minister here has not said anything. That is a problem. We have again spoken about more than 70% of the young people who are not working, and today we talk about more than 700,000 people, young people who have qualified from doctoral degrees and so on, who are not working. But then that did not come from the minister. I must therefore say that this is extremely useless. It does not address the issues of poverty, the issues of everything that concern the people of our country.
It's very important because Eskom can do or break our country and its economy. That was announced in the medium-term budget policy statement last year. We think it's very important because 2/3 of that budget is already government guaranteed. So Eskom will have space to have resources which will be used for maintenance of its power station fleet. Because if those power stations operate properly, their involvement in other forms of energy and bringing more power to the grid, it will actually deal with load shedding, but overall energy security for the country. Because we cannot let Eskom to falter. Because if it's allowed to falter, because it cannot access resources in the financial markets, they cannot access additional resources, it becomes very, very serious for the country.